Mollies are some of the most popular fish in the aquarium hobby. While mollies are great fish by themselves, most people will want to pair mollies with other fish in a community type aquarium. So let's head into the fish barn and talk about some of my favorite tank mates that you can put with mollies. Before going into the individual species, let's talk about what makes a good tank mate for your molly. You'll want to look for a fish that can tolerate the same water parameters, temperature, and pH that your mollies enjoy. Mollies enjoy your typical tropical temperatures and like harder water and do require a larger tank, usually 29 gallons or above. You will also want to avoid fish that will eat your mollies, like larger cichlids and monster fish. There are some barb and tetra species you should avoid, since they're also known to be fin nippers. On the flip side, you'll want to avoid some smaller fish and invertebrates like cherry shrimp, because they'll fit in the molly's mouth and will eventually become a snack. So let's start off the fish list with one of my favorite bottom-dwelling fish, the Plecos. I prefer the bristlenose Pleco varieties since they tend to stay on the smaller side. Plecos make great tank mates because they're bottom dwellers and do not compete at the same level of the water column that your mollies would. While many consider these fish cleaner fish, you do need to make sure that you're getting food down to the bottom levels of the tank so that your Plecos have something to eat. This can be achieved with any sort of sinking algae wafer. If you're looking at some of the more exotic Pleco species, you'll need to ensure that you provide this Pleco with the proper diet, because some species require wood in their diets while other species are carnivorous. Along with that, there are some Pleco species that also get quite large, like the commonly available common Pleco. So you definitely want to make sure you have the proper tank size for the Pleco you're purchasing. So sticking with bottom dwellers, let's talk about Cory catfish. These small armored catfish share many of the same qualities that Plecos do when it comes to being a molly tank mate. They feed at different levels of the water column and enjoy much the same parameters that your molly will. As with the Plecos, you'll need to make sure to get food to the bottom of the tank so that your catfish has something to feed on. If you're considering Cory catfish, you'll need to keep in mind that these are schooling fish. You should start out with a colony of about 6 or more to make them feel comfortable. So now let's talk about keeping mollies with other livebearers. One of my favorite combinations recently has been to put mollies with another live-bearing species of Xiphophorus, either swordtails or platies. Since they do not share the same genus, they will not interbreed with one another, which is something I strive for in my fish room. If you provide enough plant cover, these fish will not eat one another's fry as well, kind of getting a 2-for-1 special. One tank, breeding 2 different species of fish. You can keep mollies with guppies and endlers, but these fish will interbreed with one another. For example, guppies and mollies can crossbreed and create something called a muppy or a golly. These offspring are infertile and will not reproduce. Like I said earlier, I really like keeping my bloodlines pure in my fish room, so I really don't like keeping fish that crossbreed together. There are many types of schooling fish that you can keep with mollies as well. Many of the tetra, rasbora, danio, and rainbow fish species do great with mollies and provide a lot of action in your display tank. I personally kept mine with goiter river rainbow fish without any issues. You will need to ensure that you do some research on the type of schooling fish to make sure that it will not harass and nip the fins of your mollies. One of my other favorite schooling fish are hatchet fish. These oddly shaped fish tend to stay towards the top of the water column and will not compete with your mollies for food, much like the Plecos and catfish we spoke of earlier. You will need to keep in mind that hatchet fish do require a tight-fitting lid, since they have been known to jump out of the aquarium. So I hope you enjoyed looking today at some great fish that you can put with mollies. So with that being said, stay safe, stay fishy, and I'll catch you on the next video.